Ikuzo. I remember when UFC put out the video on their YouTube channel of UFC 1. It was, I believe, you versus Royce Gracie. And I'm watching, and I'm then knowing what was the MMA and UFC in 2016, I'm watching this video, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Did you have that kind of feeling when you were at the UFC 1 and watching it now, almost 30 years later, do you have like feeling, oh, how much this has evolved and what this has become? Did you have that kind of feeling when you're watching now?
Yeah, when I first heard about it, and I've said this many times in interviews when people interviewed me about the beginning days, I believed that there was no way it was going to happen. You know, this was back, you know, in '93. And to think that you would be able to walk up and kick another human being in the face while they're on the ground was just, I mean, it's asinine. You're just thinking, no way. You see that in movies, there's no way they're going to let that happen. So for me, I was already fighting over in Japan. I was a defending champion in Japan in mixed martial arts. Here they were going to do this thing here in the United States where it was no holds barred. I mean, literally anything goes. And in my mind, when they were pitching it to me, I'm going, shut up. Like, this is not like I mean, yeah, maybe if we were doing it in a third world country and we were on some private property or something, we could fight to the death. But you're going to televise it on pay-per-view and you saying you're going to be able to, I just didn't believe it was so. But I still signed up to do it because I always thought to myself, man, I mean, if you ever wanted to find out who was really truly the baddest guy on the planet, this would be the way to do it. And so I went ahead and bid on it and just, you know, decided, okay, I'm going to do it. Let's see where it goes with the idea of it's not happening. And I remember telling Funaki and Suzuki, who I was doing the organization Pancrase over there with those guys, and I pitched it to them and told them what was happening. And they were kind of like, they did some research on it and they found the Gracie brothers and showed things that they were doing. And so he was like, yeah, it doesn't look like no holds barred to me. It looks like they, you know, got gis are holding and they do punch, but it's not like brutal or anything. And so they came to my fight, right? After I said I was going to do the first one. And we flew 3 days prior to me actually fighting because I defended my title against Fouquet. I knocked him out with a knee. I fly to Denver, Colorado 3 days prior to me having to fight because in my mind I'm going, this has got to be a pro wrestling gig. It's got to be or something. They're going to pull us aside and say, hey, this is how it's going to go. So we get there and that meeting never happened. It didn't happen. The only meeting that happened was, which was disappointing, but at the time nobody knew any better. But now this many years later, you realize what was happening. But they came in, basically said no rules, anything goes, you know, no time limit. And then they say they're going to have a rules meeting. And we're like, this is where I was like, okay, here we go. Now we're getting to the bottom of it. But when we had the rules meeting, it was more of a opportunity for them to be able to put rules in that kind of favored, you know, Royce a little bit because they wouldn't let Kevin Rozier tape his hands. They wouldn't let Zane Frazier wear his kick pads. And I didn't understand the hand taping either, why they wouldn't let a guy tape his hand when they turned around and let Art Jimmerson wear one boxing glove.
Yeah.
Now we know because when you tape your hands, you make it like a rock now, right? And you don't break your hand, whereas guys broke their hands. Gerard Goodell broke his hand and his foot fighting. And if he'd have been able to tape his hands, who knows what would have happened. But when they said rules meeting, it was like ding, ding, ding. But it never got to the point where people were like, oh, this isn't real. It was like, oh, this is real. And of course, the very first fight happens. And, you know, the football kick to the face and teeth go flying in the front row. From that point on, man, there's no way anybody could deny that this was the real deal.
So the story is true that you didn't know it's going to be real until the first bout. But crazy. But did you maybe thought about just dropping this match or something?
Say that again?
Did you think about dropping this match after you saw the first fight or something? I believe not.
No way, man. If anything, I got excited because the whole time I'm thinking there's no way they can do this, but I was already fighting in Japan.
Yeah, no.
you know, and it was like what we have now with UFC and stuff, you know, but it was open hands and they had rope escapes, a little bit different, but kind of the same mixed martial arts type thing. And now they were saying it was, you know, Knowles, bar, bare knuckle, street fight, go out and do what you want to do, style against style. And I was, to me, the reason why I bid on it was because of that, because there was an opportunity that this could happen. And I thought, to me, if this was going to happen, I wanted to be a part of it because that was my DNA. I mean, literally, I was a street fighter. That's where I came from.
Yeah.
So when they said that, I just kind of hung around just to see maybe it would, you know, and it did. I mean, it literally did. It turned into what I thought it would, other than, you know, there were rules like they took my shoes away. I didn't understand that. It was supposed to be anything goes, no rules, go in there and do your thing, style against style. But it was what it was. And but I think that's what really set the tone for what we have today, because I think if it would have been anything else, that would have been maybe I go first or Hoist goes first in a fight and we do what we do with submissions. People would have booed us out of the stadium. They would have like started. I mean, they would have they'd said it was fake. Nobody knew it, right? But because somebody got kicked in the face, that was easily digested. Like they knew what that was.
We stay genuine, uncensored and unscripted, and we always will, as we have to order our usual. Share us and subscribe us, and stay tuned until the next Wednesday. Ikuzo!